That building there on the left was built in 1911. It's called the Walker Power Building. We're on Argyle Street in the east side of Windsor, Ontario. This is Riverside Drive right here. Those white silos across the street, they were built for Hiram Walker in between 1920 and 1933. This cruise we're going on isn't all about Hiram Walkers. It's just where I started. Hiram Walker first opened here in Windsor in 1858. That's when the start of all these buildings happened. At the light here, we're going to make a right, and we're going to head down Walker Road. On the left side of Walker Road, we're going to drive by the train station. That train station, via rail, it was opened in 1961. That's when that was built. So train station, then train tracks, then a little white building. That building was built in 1904. From 1913 until the mid-1930s, that was head office for the Studebaker Motor Car Company of Canada. So we're coming up here to Wyandotte Street and Walker Road. This is the intersection. Across the street, on the right, there's those brick houses right there. They were all built in 1893. They were employee houses for Hiram Walker's workers. And I remember sometime, probably like 35 years ago, there was a fire in one of those houses. Walker Road had a nickname called Gasoline Alley for many years because of all the gas stations that were from Hiram Walker's all the way down to the airport. Walker Road was also the border in between Ford City and Walkerville, Windsor, Ontario. Ford City because of Ford Motors, and Walkerville because of Hiram Walker Distillery. Coming up here on the right side, this red building on the right side right here, it was built in 1928, and it was called the Metropole Supper Club. When I was a kid, it was called California's, and it was a nightclub. These gray houses on the right, they were just built in the past couple years. Coming up on the right, in the red brick building, is Walkerville's first power substation. Then you have an old fire station here on the right, and on the left, that little red building we just passed, that was called Berry Brothers Varnish and Paint Company. They're from Detroit, Michigan, but they opened there in 1882. The next light that we're going to hit is going to be Ottawa Street. So we're going to be on the corner of Ottawa and Walker very soon. So when we get to the light, on the left side is going to be Hearn Industrial. That building was called Dominion Forge and Stamping when it first opened, and it was built in 1910. It's going to be a big yellow building on our left. When we pass that building, we're going to hit the General Motors building. It's now a U-Haul, but that building was built in 1963. We used to make transmissions here in Windsor, Ontario for General Motors, but they left in 2010. Across the street from the GM building was another GM building attached by a catwalk that was over top of Walker Road forever. Well, at least in my life. So that's gone. General Motors was in Windsor from 1919 until 2010. When they left here, it affected around 500 workers. But for every 500 workers that are affected, 10 more people are affected. You always must remember that. Living in Windsor, we rely heavily on the auto industry. My grandfather was born in 1924 in Nova Scotia, and after the war, he came here to find a job, and he found that job at Chryslers. And he worked there until 1985. So I always have a small place in my heart for the auto industry because they really did help out my family a lot. So we're going to come up here on the right. This place is called Colonial Tool, and they've been open on this spot since 1942. So respect to them. We're coming up on a building where just a couple of years ago a drunk driver hit this building right here and he died. Do you remember that? I don't know much more about that other than that happened. The next light we're going to hit is the corner of Tecumseh Road and Walker. That's where we're going to be. Across the street, you're going to notice on the right a mural. That's the Penalty Box Restaurant. The Penalty Box Restaurant started downtown originally. I think it was like 1992. And then they moved here. I remember them being near the old fire station. Correct me if I'm wrong. After the penalty box on the right, you're going to see a bunch of cars in a parking lot. Those are all cars built by Chrysler. It used to be a parking lot for all the workers for Chrysler, but over the years, they've really reduced their staff here in Windsor. That's okay though, they're still here, so respect. And on the left side of the road here on Walker, you're basically going to see Chryslers for the whole street. It takes up blocks and blocks and blocks. That's where my grandpa worked till 1985, like I said. You know, my dad is from Nova Scotia, and the only reason he came here to Windsor was because my Uncle Ralph got a job at Ford's here in Windsor. So I might not even be on Earth without the auto industry being here in Windsor, Ontario. That's how I look at things. I could have been a little Nova Scotian fishing right now, eating lobster. But Ralph gets the job here, and my dad begs him. My dad is 18 years old at the time, and he begs him, please let me come with you. So he did. This transport truck carrying all those minivans were made in that factory right here on the left. So we're headed south on Walker Road, and we're going to go to an underpath. And that thing was built probably 20 years ago. And before that, Walker Road was brutal to drive down. You were stuck in traffic all the time. I want to say the word underpass, but when you talk on camera, sometimes it's hard. Like 2 + 2, you're like, I don't know what it is. I know I'm by myself right now, but I know maybe one day someone will listen to this. Then you start fumbling. But this is what I was talking about right here. This thing here is awesome. Thank God they built this. So we're coming up here. When I was a kid, there was a little scrapyard right here on the right. But because of all this construction, they moved that scrapyard down the street more on Walker Road. That scrapyard does not exist anymore. It's out of business. Pretty soon, we're going to end up on Ypres Row. That's where I'm going to take you. And we're going to head on over to Howard. Then we're going to drive down Howard to Ypres, back to Walker Road again. So if you're still here, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hit subscribe, hit like, tell me to shut up, leave a comment, tell me to talk more. I don't mind. Ypres Row Expressway is actually someone's name. I don't know what EC stands for, but he worked for Chrysler Canada, and he was the president in the 50s. So in his honor, they named the expressway Ypres Row Expressway. Ypres Row Expressway started in 1971, and they finished in 1983. It's approximately 16 kilometers long. So that little bridge ahead of us, that's Ypres Row. And the car that just passed, they're all headed west. So I'm going to make a right now and go down EC Row, and you come with me. When you hit Howard, if you make a left at Howard, you're going to end up at Devonshire Mall. And if you make a right, you're headed back towards Tecumseh Road. Devonshire Mall is named after the land it was built on. It was previously the site of Devonshire Raceway. It was a horse racing track that opened in the 1930s until it burned down in 1939. So that's pretty cool, eh? It was a horse racing track. Every time you go there now you know why it's called Devonshire Mall. Doing all this history, research in the city, I've noticed one thing about Windsorites. There was literally bars on every corner, restaurants everywhere. We had a million hotels, lots of nightclubs. We had horse tracks. We had race car tracks. Oh, it's going to be great when you learn everything about it. Just like I am right now. A lot of things I know, but a lot of things I don't know. Okay, so when we get off here on Howard, we're going to make a right. And at the first light on Howard, if you were to make a left, you'd be going into the Zalev Brothers scrapyard. Zalev's has been open in this city for 105 years. Their original yard was on McDougal, but during World War II, they gathered so much metal that they needed more space. Where Zalev's is right now, it was all swampland when they bought it. I read an article where they literally cleaned out acres and acres and acres of swampland and then made it the way it is today. I'm going to do a video about those guys. It's pretty cool over there. You're not allowed to bring a camera in there, so let's keep that on the down low. So why is Howard Avenue called Howard Avenue here in Windsor? Edwin Howard was born in 1832 in Maryland, USA, and he passed away here in 1924 in Windsor, Ontario. I'm going to read you something from the Border City Star at the time of his death. Edwin Howard was a pioneer of Windsor, Ontario. He was the son of an ex-slave who obtained his freedom by purchase during the days of slavery in the southern states. By the reason of Edwin's own father purchasing his own freedom and the freedom of his own wife, so Edwin and all his siblings could be born free. Coming to Windsor, Ontario from the south 50 years ago, Mr. Howard farmed in several different locations. The last farm he had was at the corner of Tecumseh Road in Howard, which now bears his name. He was a very popular man in the city of Windsor, and he was known for his corn. Before coming to Windsor, Mr. Howard was initiated into the Order of the Freemasons in Columbus, Pennsylvania. Even I'm learning something today. How about that? If you look straight down Howard, way over in the yonder, you can see the Renaissance Center. That thing is in Detroit. That's how close we are. The Renaissance Center, or the Ren-Cen, as we used to call it, it's now the GM building, but it was built in 1977. As soon as you get out of the tunnel in Detroit, you're staring up at the Ren-Cen. It's pretty cool. When you look at the Renaissance Center, or the GM building, it's 73 stories high. Just think how tall the Twin Towers were in New York. They were 110 stories high, to give you an idea. To give you an idea of something else, the Ambassador Bridge from the road to the water is 150 feet. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, from the road to the water, it's 220 feet. Okay, we're going to go underneath another underpass here, and we're going to make a right onto Ypres. It's called Memorial something right now, but everyone knows it as Ypres, or it turns into Ypres. Ypres is named after the Battle of Ypres, which took place in World War I in Belgium. The Canadians fought notably, and they distinguished themselves in their first major engagement of World War I by holding the line against the German offensive, including the first large-scale chlorine gas attack. Despite suffering around 6,000 casualties, the 1st Canadian Division's courage and determination earned them international recognition and the respect of their allies. On April 22, 1915, the Germans launched their first large-scale chlorine gas attack, which caused the French and Algerian troops to break and flee, creating a large gap in the Allied lines. The Canadians held the line against overwhelming odds, filling the breach and sealing off the path, which helped prevent a major German breakthrough. In 4 days, the Canadians lost 1,000 soldiers, and they had 6,000 casualties. To the right now when we're driving, this park is dedicated to the soldiers of World War I. It's located in Memorial Park on Ypres Avenue. The Granite Memorial was dedicated in 1925 to honor the 837 men and women from Windsor and Essex County who died in the First World War. The park also includes commemorative plaques and monuments specifically dedicated to battles such as Ypres, acknowledging the significant local sacrifice in this pivotal battle. There was a bathroom in that park that I was just talking about that is literally 99 years old. It's pretty cool. Every time I go film it, it's always dark because there's a million trees around it. But one day, I'm going to get a great video. I always remember as a kid because I used to play Little League Baseball, and we would have all-star tournaments at Optimus Park. And I would look at that bathroom and say, why does this look like a castle? It's crazy. So at the end of the line here, we're going to hit Walker Road again, and then we're going to go a little bit farther. And we can't drive into Chryslers, but we're going to drive really as far as we possibly can. And it's a pretty cool, old-looking building. It was designed by Hutton and Sauter, and it was constructed in 1928. So when we come up to the red light here, it's going to be Howard. And if you look to the left, there's Tim Hortons and the beer store behind it. Well, back in the day, that used to be Beaver Lumber. So Beaver Lumber, they began in 1883 in Saskatchewan. They were called Banbury Brothers Lumber Company, but they renamed themselves to Beaver Lumber in 1906. They were acquired by Molson in 1972 and then later sold to Home Hardware in 1999. In the year 2000, all the Beaver Lumber stores here in Canada were rebranded as home building centers. So that's what was going on here on the left. And straight ahead is the Chryslers. And it looks so cool. If you have listened to me this far, I personally will shake your hand right now. Thank you very much. I appreciate every single one of you. I've never really drove down this street this far. You can always see the smokestacks from far away, but look how pretty this thing is. Amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to park down the street and walk and then come down here and film and be one of those guys, but it's gonna look cool and we're all gonna like it. So until next time, Old Cool Windsor, thank you very much. Take care, brush your hair, and all that good stuff.